For another update, let's take a look at Kava over here. Kava was doing Wyckoff accumulation at the lows going back to July 2024. You see how you have a mini Wyckoff accumulation range? And then once we broke out of that range for our SOS phase, we needed to come back to back test the range for your backup phase. Okay, now we're just going to see chop around here under this macro range right here. So this macro range we're going to see chop under this blue region right here. So this is your accumulation zone. This is where all of the retail try to push up the price, but the composite operator is rejecting it every time, right? So you see how many times we tried to break out here? But the composite operator was not allowing that to get through, not allowing the price to get through there. So this was the composite operator was distributing here, right? So this would be your accumulation phase. And then this is your manipulation phase right here. And that's why I said in my previous chart, this is why I labeled it as the no panic zone, because this is pure manipulation under this macro range here, or this longer term range right here. This lasted for about 500 days. And then the manipulation zone is going on for about 157 days. So this is what's called the power of three. So the power of three setup it's very powerful in crypto. We also have our trendline liquidity here. Notice how many times we've come to tap this trendline. So we can call this our trendline liquidity. Okay. Like that. So there's liquidity, or in other words, buy stops or sell stops located above this trend line. So price is likely going to be gravitated towards that sometime during this cycle. Should be very, very soon. Okay. And then so you have your accumulation, manipulation, and then after your manipulation, you have expansion. Expansion or distribution. So accumulation, manipulation, distribution. What we also see over here, and like I said in my previous videos, you tend to see mini accumulation ranges within larger accumulation ranges. And that's signs of very healthy price action, right? This over here is a bullish falling wedge pattern. And then you have your A, your B, and then your C wave right here. Like that. You could also label it like this, like that. Looks a lot like CRV. We can compare this to CRV and we can see how exact this looks. See? Came out near the same time as well. Right? Same type of price action, falling wedge. But yeah, this is what I think for Kava. We're going to break out soon. It's just chopping here within this manipulation range. Coming down here to the small time frame. We're going to see a breakout over here, considering we are on the 78.6% fib. and now we're going to see a push to the upside, or we come down and sweep this low right here and do something like that. Okay, so these two zones right here. Okay, so we're very close to a breakout. We're just waiting for that this distribution phase right here. Remember, whenever you see a accumulation range like this for this long, and then you see a push under that range, and then several attempts to try to make a bullish advance back into the range, you'd always want to be a buyer here. And we can also see it did come down to the 200-day moving average right here. You see how it tapped the 200-day? This looked like your preliminary supply. So one last up thrust before you enter into your selling climax. You have your automatic rally, secondary test, your failed breakout, which is this right here, and then your secondary test in phase B, and then you continue, and then you chop out of the range just like that. This over here would be your selling climax, automatic rally, second test, fail break. And then this is your secondary test in phase B. And then you chop to the side here. And then you see the push on out of the range. We saw the push on out of the range. And now we're coming down for our backup phase. And this was our backup phase, coming down towards the 200-day moving average. Now we're going to see chop around here, exactly where I showed you. Right? This is called a manipulation range for a reason. Is because the composite operator is just trying to accumulate as much coins as possible for the anticipation of that explosive rise that's likely to occur. Now this rise, it won't just be Kava. It'll be all the coins in unison. We can take a look here at the MACD on the weekly, and let's take a look here. Okay, so it's still under the zero line. So that shows us that it still has a lot of potential to continue on higher. This can turn. Let's take a look at the RSI on the 2-week. And you can see here that whenever you have a falling wedge-like structure, especially in crypto, and you want to DCA in, sometimes it's very hard to know when it's the bottom, because let's say the price action is over here, you would think that, okay, it's ready to break out and do this, but instead it just continues to range, right? And then you think over here, that's the bottom, and then it just continues to range, and then you just get chopped out. So what I would recommend is pull out your RSI, and once you see a lower low within that wedge, and then a higher low or an equal low on the RSI, on the weekly time frame or the 3-day, then it's likely that you're going to catch around that region in which we would see a pivot point. So for example, over here on Kava, we have a lower low right here. I'll make it red so you guys can see. And then when we pull out our RSI, you see how we have a higher low, a slightly higher low. So then that's how I would know that would be a pivot point. Same thing happened with the S&P 500 back in 2022, I believe, right here. You guys see that? You guys see this? Lower low and higher low. And then that would be your signal to buy in. Just so you don't get chopped out within these types of patterns, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed the Kava video. Nothing to worry about with Kava. It's still moving along very well. And yeah, it's just chopping at the lows before we can continue on higher with the rest of the altcoin market. We'll continue to watch Bitcoin dominance. If you haven't seen that video, please go ahead and take a look at that. But yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, if Kava loses 37 cent, 0.3971 to 0.37, then it's likely going to come down to these lows and then continue on higher. But I would say this scenario is very unlikely, right? I would say mostly these two scenarios here on the small time frame. These two scenarios here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Peace out and take it easy. See you in the next one.